The results are in over 1,500 voters. It's a good sample size.
Yeah.
43.6% of respondents say a new owner is the top priority for the Portland Trailblazers. 40% say a superstar player. New coach gets 9.5% of the vote, 6.9% going to a new front office. I was surprised by that. Not just the fact that we hear it all the time. People in Portland want new ownership of the Portland Trailblazers. Not a secret whatsoever. But we also hear a lot of the Chauncey Billups is terrible. Fire Chauncey Billups. 9.5% coming in on Chauncey. 6.9 on the front office, which I think is fair because of the moves that they've made and kind of what they've done. I think there is a semblance of level-headedness in that response. 40% coming in for a superstar player is where I thought that we might land, but I thought it would be the winner. I honestly did. I thought we were going to have like 40% for a superstar player, probably like 30% on a new coach, about like the 7% for new front office, and the rest going towards a new coach, right? New owner, I thought was going to be up there. I did not anticipate 43.6% of folks that responded to the poll of the 1,500 and 71 that responded going with new ownership.
I had my rant yesterday, so I'm not going to completely lose it today.
Yeah.
But
don't.
This is baffling, head-scratching, beyond stupidity.
Well, I don't think, yeah.
It's so far above the pale, man. We had Kevin Pelton on of ESPN yesterday, and we asked him this question, and he laughed because it's a joke.
Yeah, because superstar player is what bails. Look, go down the line. And you can go from whether you James Dolan in New York, Glenn Taylor in Minnesota. These ownership groups have not been. Matt Ishbia has botched it in Phoenix as well, but they have superstar players. You make the playoffs. I mean, it is that it is that simple.
It's
players win in the league.
In the NBA. It literally is that simple.
And I think that when you look at a franchise. I think that franchise building is the superstar player, the centerpiece player, a functional and very good front office. Then you go to a X's nose nails coach, and then you go to ownership. Because Mickey Arison in Miami is not a good owner.
No, he's cheap.
But they always find a way to have a superstar player, and I think a lot of that credit goes to Pat Riley in the front office because they've had several different iterations.
They were also doing it before Pat because
but
Miami.
They've had several different iterations of this team where they've been really good. And then they also have one of the best X's and O's coaches in the entire NBA in Eric Spoelstra. So they overachieve in years where they are down, like this year, like hell, last year. In ownership, I think where that goes to, and I think where we get the 43.6% of the vote, is you have a fan base that has been so accustomed to winning. Again, the Portland Trailblazers for the longest time were one of the winningest franchises in professional sports over its history of existence. They're still at 52.5% of regular season games the Blazers have won.
I want to say if you go back to like pre-04, before they had the losing years, the Jailblazer years. I want to say it was like 02 or 03. I remember they had the winningest franchises in sports. And this was like peak time for my fandom of sports because the Raiders had the #1 winning percentage among all professional sports in North America. The Blazers, I want to say, were like 5th, and the Cardinals were somewhere in the top 15. And all three have gone completely different ways. But the Blazers were, at one point in time, one of the highest winning percentage teams in all of sports.
Here is, with this year, accounting for this year as well, the highest win percentages in NBA history. San Antonio Spurs, #1, 59.6%. Boston Celtics, 59.4%. Lakers, 59.1%. Jazz 54, right on the dot. Phoenix Suns are 5th at 53.7. Oklahoma City Thunder 53.6. Milwaukee Bucks 52.8. Miami Heat 52.7. And the Portland Trailblazers 9th NBA history all-time win percentage 52.5%. And then the Philadelphia 76ers round out the top 10 at 52.2.
And I think if you think about the NBA, those are typically the best teams every year.
Yeah.
Think about go through look at the rest of the list and then go, okay, they had a period, but those are teams that are consistent winners and have been.
I also think, though, that to the ownership aspect of this, the Blazers used to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the worst 3-year run, about to be 4-year run in the franchise's
100%.
history outside of their first few years in the NBA. The fear is that with ownership changing hands to Jody Allen and Burt Kold has coincided with pulling the ripcord in restarting this thing. So you point to ownership and being that this is the first time that this has happened and been sustained over, a 3-year period, really like ever,
mm-hmm.
right? The worry is that the teams that are losers are historic losers. The bottom 5 are the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Brooklyn Nets, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Charlotte Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, is where a lot of the anxiousness of Blazer fans is okay, well, this owner is a different owner than what we had before, even though not much has really changed because Vulcan has been running the show no matter what. And it's just Paul Allen.
And they were the ownership. The current ownership was the ownership of the team that went to the Western Conference Finals.
And Paul Allen was always portrayed as an owner who viewed the Blazers as his baby,
mm-hmm.
as his child.
Yep.
And they won a lot. Even through the Jailblazer years where there was a downturn. That was only 2 seasons,
mm-hmm.
right? But Paul Allen cared about the Blazers so much that all of a sudden it turned around, and he was firing GMs left and right. Paul Allen dies, and Neil O'Shea gets a longer leash, and there's a lot that went into the leash and the power that Neil O'Shea was given because of everything that was heaped on the plate of Jody Allen, his estate, and untangling that. And Jody Allen doesn't view the Blazers as her baby.
No.
But I think, and she's not a person that we hear from, really, ever. Paul Allen was always viewed as a guy who was quiet, but a big presence in NBA owner meetings because he was a very, very wealthy man, and everybody kind of bows down to the richest owners in any particular sport. And so there's this view that the Blazers have less power in the NBA as an organization because Paul Allen isn't there, even though he often sent other people in his place to owners' meetings.
Yes.
But then
Chris McGowan was often their representative as the governor, which Dwayne Hankins often is for the Trailblazers now.
Now you have this view of Jody Allen doesn't care about the team, even though she doesn't speak a lot.
Ever.
There have been the reports that, hey, and I don't know what to believe because we don't hear her speak.
No.
And I think that this is fair for Blazer fans to kind of to view this as there have been reports that she has taken a more prominent role in having a voice of how the organization is run, and she does care because it was something her brother cared about so deeply. But we don't know that because she's never said it.
Here's the thing. I've been told that so the entire practice facility is wired up with cameras. That was for Paul Allen so that he could watch practice anywhere in the world. I'm not kidding. He could watch practice from his submarine.
We talk about practice?
He could watch draft workouts wherever he was in the world. And I've been told that they send a link to Jody so if she's not in town when they have draft workouts like they have going on right now, that she'll watch draft workouts from wherever she's at. This whole idea that she's like the owner from Major League stripping this down to sell it. I don't like sitting here and championing Jody Allen. That's not what I'm doing. It's just that folks have no idea what is actually going on. Like the text line right now, this idea of the absentee owner or the trust as opposed to an actual owner. No, she is an actual owner because there's money being put into the franchise, not just into the roster, but into the practice facility, into the scouting departments, into Moda. Like that is not just managing a trust.
Well, I think that there's another element of that I think the texture goes into a little bit more detail that we should address because here's the thing: people aren't talking about this because of how bad things have been, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's an element to the trust ownership and the fact that there will be a for sale at some
Sure.
point.